ready for another lesson?
My God, that's Adam Schwartz's music. Oh, yeah.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz. On this week's episode, we are talking about the movie, The Blair Witch Project. But of course, before I get to any of that, I'm joined today by, I forgot to create names before we started this podcast. We'll go with
Not from around here, Nathaniel.
Not from around here, Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I'm not from around here, or the Blair Witch area, or I guess it's Burkittsville, isn't it? Not from there either.
Formerly Blair.
Yeah, not from there either. But I am here for you, listeners. Happy Halloween, boys.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Yes, sir.
Finally, some Halloween-ish weather. You know, a little chilly out there, a little windy, kind of overcast. You know, I feel like it's been a while since we've had like that kind of weather on Halloween.
Record on Halloween.
No,
I don't think. Have we ever?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
I don't think we have.
I don't think so either. It's this very special episode here. This actually will go live tonight because I got to edit it tonight before I go to Columbia tomorrow. So, yeah. Happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys are all safe. I had the spookiest thing ever to happen to me near Halloween happened to me the other day.
Oh, what happened?
I'm walking my dog, not super late at night, probably 7 or 8, but it's dark outside. Obviously, it's it's late October here. So walking my dog, we get close to my house.
What kind of dog is your dog?
He's an English Golden Doodle. So
Okay.
he's a Golden Doodle, but he's white instead of gold. Obviously.
Okay, so big enough. He could.
Yeah, solid sized dog.
He could get in the way.
Got to be 50 to 60 pounds.
Okay.
But he I was walking him. We get close to my house, and from a distance, I see there's something in my driveway. Some kind of animal, small animal. And every once in a while, you'll see a skunk, a possum in my neighborhood. It's pretty common, But then I realized it's a cat. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, cats are harmless for the most part. Once the cat sees that I have a dog, most cats gonna run away, right? So I just keep walking. Cat spots me and my dog. Cat beelines it to me, just and not like fast or anything. Like just like sees me and goes, hey, cool, and just starts walking up towards me.
Does a cat walk?
It was a catwalk. Starts catwalking up to me. Gets probably pretty close to me, not a leash's length, so I would say maybe 8 to 10 feet away from me, and just sits and starts meowing at me. Now, I have seen a lot of cats in my neighborhood, have never had this happen to me, let alone this is 2 nights ago, I think. So, a few days before Halloween. And let me describe this cat for you, because it's not a black cat, but it's not just like an orange cat. It's probably one of the strangest things I've ever seen. It had brown paws, like up to its ankles, kind of on the paws. So like brown gloved feet, a brown tail, like beige white body, and then beady black rimmed eyes. Now, not like eyes like a raccoon where it's like all the way around and like all the way like almost encircling like a black eye kind of thing, but like almost like the eyelids themselves were like brown, but like the face itself was beige. So just like the eyes around it were just super dark and like brown and black, and then white body and like brown feet and a brown tail, like just the most mismatched cat. And then just like staring into its eyes, just 2 black circles. It just sits and starts meowing at me. I'm like, what the hell is this cat trying to do to me? And then finally my dog also was just not expecting this to happen. So it took him a second to react. Finally, he lunges at this cat and it runs back a few feet. But then this bitch sits in the grass next to my driveway and starts watching me as I walk my dog back into my backyard. And at this point, I'm like, all right, well, I've got to go confront this thing before like something bad happens to me because this is definitely a bad omen. So I put my dog back in my backyard. I take him off his leash. Now our backyard gate right now, I didn't think about this in the moment, is broken. So like we can close it, but if the wind blows strong enough, it will blow open. So I take my dog off the leash, go to outside my yard. Wind blows the gate open. As I'm walking up to this cat, my dog runs past me and is now chasing this cat around my neighbor's house. Took me a little bit to get him back in. Had to get my dad to get some treats to get my dog back in the house. And the cat's gone. But I was just so perplexed in that moment because I've never seen a cat like that. Just kind of a stray cat looking like that. One that is gonna see my dog and still approach me in the middle of the night, just like come up to me with my dog right there and just start meowing at me, and then the audacity for it to like not even run away when my dog runs at it. I don't know. I'd never experienced that before. It was just a very like moment that took me out of things for a second. Thought I would share.
Sounds like to me you ran into one of those people from Harry Potter that turns into cats, but it was just
it was
a naked dude with socks and glasses.
For sure. No, it was either that, and he was trying to get me to like change him back and like help him out, or the other thing this reminded me of was I think the cat's name is Daijin from Suzume. What's that cat's name?
Funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Yeah,
Suzume?
Suzume. That's also what it reminded me of because I was like, what is this little like? What the hell? Like it was kind of cute, but also kind of creepy at the same time. Like I don't know. But yeah. That's my little spooky Halloween story for you.
Strange.
It was, out of context, it just sounds like a cat came up to me and it's like super I don't know, but it was just all those things. Yes, it is. In the moment though, it did not feel like that. It definitely felt ominous. There's just this time of year, there's something about it. It's
true.
How does everyone feel about cats here on the pod? I don't know.
Cats are good.
I'm pro cat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pro cat. Like cats.
For sure. Totally agree. Been close to buying one myself. Haven't pulled the trigger on it.
You should.
But I think what it would ultimately take is like a cat just like finding me in your scenario, right? Then I'd be like, all right, dude, I'm taking the cat home. And I've been close to like buying them from
I thought about
adoption
that.
centers, but
I thought about that because after I got my wits about me and put my dog in my yard, I was like, maybe this cat needs help or something like that. That's what I was kind of going back out there to see. But like, I have a dog, I can't adopt a cat. But if I had lived on my own, it was like for some reason walking down the street and this cat just approached me, I'd consider it.
There was a pet store by my house that you bought a bag of cat food and they gave you a cat with it.
Oh my god! Yeah, I would have done it. There's
a place in Columbia, Missouri called the Cat Cafe, and this is not unique to Columbia. I think I've heard of them other places, but it's like a little coffee shop, but then they have like a playroom for cats that you can then adopt.
Oh yeah.
So you can kind of meet a bunch of different cats, play with them a little bit, and see if you vibe with any of them, and you can adopt them.
Yeah, that's dope, man. I think we'll see. I've been saying it for realistically probably like a year and a half, and I'm getting closer and closer each time. So I think ultimately I'm gonna give in here. So we'll see.
The one thing I will say now that
Adam's neighborhood and see if I can find that cat.
Well, if I see it, I'll let you know because you'd probably vibe with it. But one thing to consider there, sir, is I know your girlfriend's in Milwaukee, so gotta be careful with that because that's something I've had to work out with my my girlfriend is her dog, figuring out what she's gonna do with that dog when she comes to visit me. So just throwing that out there for you.
No, for sure, you're right.
Yeah,
and she's got a dog as well. So anytime she comes here, she brings her dog. So yeah, that just I don't think that would be the right acclimation of just bringing a cat here straight with the dog in the place.
Yeah, that's
probably. Yeah.
What? I'm sure.
Although I do love interspecies friendships.
I do too.
I love that.
I do too. Unfortunately, my girlfriend's dog would hunt the cat until it killed it. It's like that kind of dog.
Yeah.
Very friendly dog to people, just like animals and other dogs. Sometimes it'll just do whatever. Like it's
just get a badass cat, and then they can go back and forth. Get one of them cats that's always in fights and stuff, and then they can just like throw down. That'd be cool.
I don't think that'd be cool. I don't. I eventually don't think that ends
just
well.
imagine if they're.
Let's hope. What is it? Is it PETA?
PETA?
Is that organization
PETA?
I'm thinking of? PETA. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's hope they're not listening here.
I'm not advocating in any sort of violence. I'm just saying
Okay.
they could be sparring partners.
Gotcha.
They're buddies
It
too.
could be.
You know.
Gotcha. True. As long as they're friends, technically you can't really say anything bad about it.
Also joining us today, I don't have a name for him and haven't
Let's
thought
go
of one
with
yet.
totally fucking lost Tyler.
There you go. Where's the map tie, Tyler Verdalis?
What's in the box? Where's the map?
I'm the map. I'm the map. I'm the map. Any of you guys watch that?
Yo.
I have 4 little sisters. Yes, it was.
I was gonna say Tyler's Hispanic and has 4 little
Tyler's
sisters.
traumatized. That was the last thing Tyler wanted
I
me to
mean,
sing.
shout out. There was some sick days in elementary school where me and Dora explored some. I learned so much. I learned all my Spanish.
Glad you cut yourself off there. I was
There was a
sounded like it was going a dark place.
There was a time where my sister like looked identical, Kara, to
Oh, I
Dora
can
the
see that.
Explorer.
Oh yeah.
I can
Oh,
see
that's
that.
funny.
She had the little like short like bob cut too and everything like that. Like it was like identical. I'm like, you are Dora.
Dora probably dominates at Halloween costumes.
Yeah, I would say
I'm
that's
sure.
good from anywhere from younger to even some chicken college,
Yeah, sure,
dressing
fair
that up
enough.
a little bit.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I'm sure that's a high percentage shot on Halloween, right? It's got to be out there. That's there. I'm sure like Velma, Scooby Doo's up there as well.
Oh,
It's just like
yeah.
staples that you
Scooby-Doo's
can always go to.
Easies.
Yeah.
Bear from Bear in the Big Blue House.
Yeah, everybody's got that laying around.
It's just like what would be the worst ones? Like
$50,000 animatronic bear.
or Roly Poly Oly or something like that. Just like the
Yes,
wrong
yes,
one.
for sure.
Where do you guys stand on like dressing up at our age, over the age, we'll say, of like 23? And when
Comes
you're out of
back
college?
around. Eventually you get old enough that it's fine again.
Does it?
I think if you're going to a party
so
or whatever,
over
if
it,
it's like
man.
designated, I'm sure, or obviously once you have kids,
Yeah.
there's a strong emphasis on probably dressing up. But like if I'm just like handing out candy at my house, I'm not fucking putting things on. I'm just
Well, yeah, definitely not. But I don't know, dude. It's so, for me, especially this year, like I was offered a few different options for Halloween, but this was relatively like last
Wow.
minute, like within the last
Mhm.
week of Halloween. I was like, all right, but then I've got to go find a costume, and
For
then I'm gonna go out to the bars and spend way more money than I ever should. And it's just, I was just like, none of that sounds appealing to me. And even during college, like my Halloween costumes were like bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't,
Yeah.
just don't care.
I'm with you on that. I've always been kind of the bare minimum thing. I think ultimately
Yeah.
it would take, to Tyler's point, like children for sure is a
For
huge
sure.
turning point, right? You want to dress up with the kids and whatnot. But outside of that, yeah, it's like,
The
Or
only
just,
other
watch
situation where
movies.
I'm like, I'm so down to get a costume and like kind of go all out is like a couple's costume where it's
For
like
sure.
Anakin
Sure.
and Padme, or like
Yeah.
or like a fun like video game or like something I'm into that's also a couple's costume. I am
sure.
like willing
Yeah.
to do for sure, but like my girlfriend wouldn't do any of that, so I'm kind of out of luck on that front. But yeah, that's like the only situation where it's like a little bit more fun. But
Mhm.
yeah, just Halloween this year, I was just like, nah, I'm good.
I mean, well, at least
Rounding
the
out the
kids got
squadron.
some decent weather though. It used to
Yeah, it wasn't
snow
bad.
and whatnot.
This
on
was
Halloween,
I was
so-
driving home from work today. This was the most kids I've seen trick or treating out in years,
Yeah.
like a very long time. I don't know what it was exactly that brought them all out, but I was like, where were all these kids the last couple of years?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. Anyway, rounding out the squadron, of course, is we'll go with
Big Witch Blake.
Big Witch Blake. There you go.
I was
Big
thinking that
Blair.
myself.
Big Blair.
Either
There you
that or
go. Big Blair.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Big Blair Blake. What's up?
What's going on, fellas?
Not much, man. Not much. I will say it's ironic you're not a big costume guy for how much like you love Halloween. I mean, not super ironic, but like,
Yeah. I mean, no,
Dude,
Do you love Halloween or do you just love horror?
yeah, I guess that's fair.
I think Ty's probably hit the nail on the head of that one. Big horror
See,
guy. I mean, Halloween's
Okay.
cool.
I love
Ironically
Halloween.
enough, it's probably the most festive I'll get into outside of like Christmas. I feel it's a little different because that's an actual like family holiday. But Halloween is the most festive I'll get into because I will take the time to like, all right, let me try to consume as much like horror movies as I can.
Mhm.
Right. And like I don't really do that with
Makes
anything
sense.
else. So it depends.
I love
How was your
Halloween.
horror? Do you like Halloween?
Yeah. I'm
What
sorry.
do you like about it?
It's just it was always my favorite, even as a kid. Like it's cool that you get to like go and dress up and do different like stuff, and you get to like be your hero for a night or something. Like, because obviously I got like it was Star Wars, so I think I was like Obi-Wan Kenobi into like Harry Potter into Aragorn. Like it was just the greatest hits during my childhood. So,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to scare people. It's the best. And carving pumpkins, candy.
Yeah.
Halloween
Carving
episodes
pumpkins was pretty fun. Granted, I haven't done that probably since like elementary school, but at the time it was cool.
Man, you guys got to get your pumpkin carving skills up to snuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
We'll see when they
So many
Carving
things I'd
pumpkins
rather do
was
than
great for
carve
me.
pumpkins, personally. At least right now.
See,
What was that, Ty?
When I was,
I was just saying, carving pumpkins was a great time for me.
I was gonna say, I feel like Tyler Shirley carves a mean pumpkin.
Yeah, the artistic ability and the creativity gets to flow a little bit for sure.
Mm.
It was always like, everybody
Yeah.
buying the books to like poke the holes in there, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go find a picture on the internet and then like freehand it on my pumpkin and then find a way to carve it out.
Yeah, what other holiday lets you flex your creative muscles like Halloween? That's
very
that's the
true.
best part.
That is very true.
Because from your costume to like your decorations to your your pumpkin, you can get behind at Christmas, but that's all like tradition. Halloween, you get to innovate.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say I would even say that like I think I enjoyed dressing up in like cosplay for like cons more than Halloween even. So
you can mix and
I don't
match.
know if that's just like a nerd thing versus a Halloween thing, but
Plus, what other holiday is the veil between life and death thinner? And on that note,
True.
Blair Witch Project.
do you have like a soundboard? Feels like we need to like get like a
scream?
like a horror sound effect of some kind, something.
Specifically for this movie, like what would you even have besides?
Well, I got some
people
crickets.
just fucking arguing with each other.
Do
I guess that
crickets?
does theoretically work considering they're in the woods.
Or
A twig snapping.
sad trombone.
I must have missed that part in the movie, but I believe you.
Speaking of crickets, how many crickets do you think they crossed filming this?
I don't know, bud.
Wait, what?
How many crickets do you think they came across while filming this? Speaking of crickets, you
How-
said for the soundboard, use crickets.
I don't know. I don't know how to respond to that.
I don't know how many crickets I come across on a daily basis.
Yes,
so-
it's a good question. I don't either. I don't know. I don't have any reference for your question.
I would say several. I'm gonna go with few to several.
I'm taking the over on 2 for sure. Slamming the over.
I would take the over on 2. I think that's pretty safe. The line might be like minus 10,000, or I don't even. They might have locked it. I don't know,
right.
but yeah. I mean, sure. They're probably more than 2.
What were you saying, Ty?
I was just saying so many crickets, but I was like, I do have a witch laugh effect.
Okay.
Yeah. So here you go, fans. Can you hear it?
I got a ha.
Yeah,
Maybe it's too loud.
Could be.
Let's try it again. Not that we have to, but it's Halloween.
Give it one time.
Nothing.
It's a little bit in there.
Mix it up a tad bit.
Yeah. But so this is Blair Witch.
Blair Witch, welcome to our main review segment. Nathaniel, for listeners new or maybe they're just forgotten, can you go around how the review segment works?
Yeah, what Adam was saying there, listeners, is if you're new or just maybe you've forgotten, the way that the review segment works here on Back Row Banter is it's split into 2 sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. So if you need it explained a little bit more in the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie itself, who wrote it, who directed it, Then we're going to go around the squadron, decide if we recommend it. It's got to be a yes or no. We'll also go over the movie summary a little bit. There'll be no spoilers, obviously. And yeah, then it'll be spoiler time. We'll go into the movie a little bit deeper, any big plot twists or spoilers. And from then on, check back in if you've checked out. And we're going to rank it up on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we watched on the podcast ranked. With that being said, Adam, tell me about the Blair Witch Project.
I would love to. This is not a new movie. This movie was released in the year 1999, all the way back in the 20th century. What a long time ago. That actually is kind of crazy to think about. That's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Time has passed.
It's time. time
Indeed.
has passed.
Indeed it has. We can confirm.
Whoa.
It is written and directed by Daniel, I'm going to go Myrick, and Eduardo Sanchez. And for writing, it gives documentary uncredited credits to Heather Donahue, who is also one of our lead characters / actresses. I believe all of these guys go by their real names.
Mm-hmm.
It's Heather Donahue, Joshua Leonard, and Michael C. Williams. And I believe that's in part, I don't know if anyone here can confirm that this was filmed. The style of filming, I remember it being it's not necessarily scripted where like they were in the woods, they were acting, but it was kind of like, hey, things are going to happen. Here are some cameras and just film it. And the actors themselves were just kind of reacting to the situations. Is that how that went?
Yeah, they were in essence on a hike, and then they were given a series of drops kind of in the morning. They would find kind of like little caches that would tell them the day's outline for what the kind of like script was and what the like highlights were. But then it was basically they were off to do their own and, you know, actually find where they were going and that kind of thing as well too and stuff. So
Right.
Which I'm sure we'll talk about more. But yeah.
Yeah. The IMDb summary reads as follows. Oh, you know what? I didn't do 1999 rated R with runtime of 1 hour and 21 minutes and an IMDb rating of 6.5 out of 10. The IMDb summary reads as follows. 3 film students vanish after traveling into a Maryland forest to film a documentary on the local Blair Witch legend, leaving only their footage behind. Good summary. I fully endorse that summary, actually. Yeah. Gives you all the information you need, leaves you somewhat intrigued, and gets you on your way. So I approve of that summary, and you know what? I'll go out and say it, fellas. I approve of this movie. I really do. Yeah. I know there was, if you listen to last week's episode, definitely some hesitation from the squadron here on whether I would enjoy this movie fully or not, based on my reaction to Paranormal Activity, and I definitely do like this quite a bit more than Paranormal Activity. Now, it's not. I think it's very inventive. It does some very fun things. As we kind of mentioned, just like the way it was shot and keeping that in mind while watching this, and like just the style of the movie in terms of like the camera choice of having like a black and white camera and a color camera. I mean, I don't think that's like super spoilery, and I can talk more in depth on that in spoilers, but like just the overall way and approach of this movie in terms of its found footage and how it goes about doing it, the fact that it's kind of a documentary, like whatever you want to call that, I think works a lot better than something like Paranormal Activity, where it's like more of like a home video. Worked a lot better for me in this one. So yeah, I had a really good time I had a really good time relative to like it being horror. Like this definitely was scary movie for the most part. Not a ton of jump scares or anything like that, but just kind of puts you on edge for most of the film, especially in the night sequences. And I really like this one. I was very pleased.
Had you had anything kind of spoiled for you ahead of time or anything like that? Like, what did you know about this going in, I suppose?
Not too much. I remember hearing what I just was talking about, how they were actors given cameras and kind of filmed in like that kind of like free range style almost. So I kind of knew that going in, which I had that in the back of my mind while watching this. And the only other thing I really had spoiled was that like there's some kind of emphatic ending to the movie, but I didn't really know exactly what that meant.
Sure.
Okay.
So yeah. That's kind of really like all I knew. But everything else was kind of, and then like knowing it was found footage, knowing they were in the woods, like I kind of had a general idea of what I was about to see, but nothing like super specific. Yeah. And this was my first time watching it. Okay. If you couldn't tell by like how I reacted to everything, but yeah. I'm a recommend for sure.
Yeah, that's surprising. I guess it kind of goes back to the point we were talking about last week, and I think Nathaniel brought it up, is if it would be to kind of paraphrase here, I think you were talking about if it would be retro enough, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to figure out where Adam would lie on this opposed to Paranormal Activity, what we did last week. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, Adam, I agree with you. Hard to kind of chat about this without going into spoilers. And granted, it is a 25-year-old movie, which is crazy to say aloud. And this is one that I've seen now probably 4 or 5 times. Haven't really seen it the most due to how old it is, contrary to how old it is. But yeah, overall, I would say I like it. Smaller film, similar to Paranormal Activity. There's we got 3 characters in this: Heather, Mike, and what's the other guy's name?
Josh.
John.
Yeah.
Josh. Yep. So yeah, it says a lot without saying much, and I think that's what ultimately helps the film age the best, right? Because there's a lot of things you don't really see, so everything's up to the mind, it's up to perception, it's up to creating your own horrors per se, and I think that's what has a lot going for it when you fast forward over time. But yeah, ultimately that's my first stance, is I'd be a recommend, and then I'll pass it over to somebody else so we can go into spoilers.
Yeah, I'll pick it up here. I mean, man, I think we got to talk about too. I mean, just when this movie came out, the other side of it too, just like it being that first kind of viral movie as well. And just like, I mean, I can. This was a time in my life where like I'm 99, so I'm 7. Yeah, 7. So like I'm not even paying attention to movies that much anymore, but I remember there being like a furor around this kind of thing. Like I remember seeing people with the sticks and hearing about the woods kind of thing. But like truly that first one that like broke out in that big way, and similar to like one of those first older brother movies where everyone's older brother had seen this and was like talking about it and was like, oh yeah, this is real kind of thing overall. But to that point, I remember this is the only the second time for me that I've seen this in full.
Oh really?
But that being said, through again just kind of being alive at the time, like I've had I had seen so many parts of it already, and just like in parody or in like clips on TV or something like that, or MTV or VH1 something or other. But yeah, it's or South Park is like doing it as well too. But yeah, I found myself having a ball with it this time. And just in a way that like I feel is such a weird little time capsule. I think of like the way things were in 99 and like what again passed for like quote unquote reality then and in that point, and kind of just how people talked as well too, and the kind of because so much of it is improvisational, like the kind of seeing what passed for good improv then, and kind of like what improv acting is versus today's standard, where I think we're like used to more like a Marvel movie or something like that, where you hear about them being like, oh, here's a framework for a scene, and like here's the points you got to hit, but kind of, do your own interpretation of it kind of thing. So you have those kind of actors influencing their roles where they're bringing a certain amount of themselves to it as well too, whereas this is kind of doing that but wanting it to pass for reality. at the same time, and I think there's a really interesting and weird kind of bit of movie going on in there, from a theoretical standpoint and that kind of thing. But just in and of itself, it's just lean, mean, and get you in and out, and is effective still, particularly in like the scariest part of this thing is just that they're lost in the woods. Like if you just had a movie where they were like, hey, these people went out and were recording themselves and they got lost, like that's scary enough. But like, and then seeing that whole part and that whole relationship of it as well too, and then you add in the supernatural elements, it really does take that up to that 11 that I still think this movie still works if you're willing to buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna recommend Tyler. I'll pass over to you.
Pass it over. I was 9 when this came out, and I can say I also definitely remember there being a pretty big just kind of thing about it. Everybody was just talking about it. It was very much in the zeitgeist, if you will. I think that over the years, for me at least, some other movies have come out and just kind of developed the whole found footage kind of deal for me.
That's right.
I do really appreciate found footage, and obviously you don't get some movies without things like this that have happened, significantly earlier on. But I truly believe that this movie is effective when you see it for the first time. I think there are other movies in the horror genre that I think are effective even after the first time that you watch them, which is something that I think a really good horror movie can do. Not to say that this isn't good. It's just I don't think it's particularly aged well for me. And I think that's kind of where it hurts me the most. Typically, I'm very good with older movies. I'm not like some people who just won't watch or enjoy movies past the 70s.
That's right. Or prior to the 70s.
Yeah. And so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just kind of the timing of this for me, but this just didn't hit as much for me as I think some other movies have over the years. And granted, I haven't watched this in probably, I would say at least 8 to 10 years.
Sure.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I would say for the sake of argument, if somebody, came up to me and was like, yo, I've never seen the Blair Witch Project, I'm like, dude, you got to watch it. Just fucking watch it. But if you've seen it before and you're like, maybe we should put it on, I'd be like, no, we can watch something else. So I think for, if somebody, randomly walking down the street was being like, should I watch it? I've never watched it. Yes. To recommend 100%. But I do think that there are movies out there that do a better job. From a horror standpoint. And yeah, that's what I got. We can just get into spoilers and do what we got to do.
Well, right before we move on though, I will say it does make me happy that like Adam's generation maybe hasn't like had this one like spoiled for them as much.
For sure.
As well too. Like I am glad to hear that, because it is like one I do feel like, particularly for us, it did get like not overplayed, but like it was just well known at one point. And like, for sure, particularly not like, and we'll get into this a little bit more into spoilers, but just like what the twists were became really well known as well too. Sure. And so like now I'm happy to hear that it's kind of like come back around, and maybe the the Zoomers and the Gen Alphas will get to have fun with this one when it comes back around again.
I will say one other thing too is this movie also got pulled into the Scary Movie franchise.
At one point, similar to Scream.
Yeah, so sure. I know that is also played a little bit of a factor, but again, I think there's there's a way to still appreciate those movies, even though they are part of some kind of satire in another sense of a movie. But yeah, I think that's my only other kind of point.
Fair enough. All right. Well, with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and head into spoilers. So if you've not seen the Blair Witch Project and do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead and check that episode description where I've left a timestamp you could jump to, where you'll be taken to our ranking of the movie up upon our Entropy list. Up upon. Spoiler time, Nathaniel.
Some crickets,
crickets.
And some wind.
Yo, how many crickets do you think they pass?
Quick question, guys.
Quick question, guys.
How many crickets do they pass? And then follow up, what about moths? Have you considered how many moths were attracted to the lights?
But yeah, jumping into spoilers on this one, guys. I mean, yeah, I'm pleased that Adam likes it, as Nathaniel was echoing earlier. And I guess kind of talk to me, Adam, like how was your first viewing on this? Because ultimately I don't know a lot of people who have never seen this, or at least not somewhat aware of it. Like,
I'm so surprised, man. Like, for me, I had so many people like early on, like it was just like, dude, nothing happens. Like that was always the thing, was that everyone was just like, oh, Blair Witch, like nothing happens. And so to hear that you like actually got to it without having that kind of like spoiled for you was so refreshing to hear.
Yeah, I loved that nothing happens, honestly. And like, I don't feel like I would usually feel that way, but this film does enough for me where, like, as Blake said, it's like, it's not that nothing happens. It's just like, you don't see what happens. Yeah. Like, things happen, like, but it is as Blake said, it's like your imagination is what's scary about this movie. And I love when films do that and do it really well. And I think this movie does it perfectly, where like they're pointing the camera, you hear the reactions, you hear what they're hearing, but you can't see anything, and it doesn't seem like they can either, really. And you know, at one point their tent starts shaking, you know, like things happen, and at the end of the movie, obviously, you know,
or like
what those characters are
the sticks with the teeth and the blood and the like
like that's messed up, and they find all the like symbols made out of sticks that hang from trees.
Wake up and wild. You're covered with there's a bunch of rocks around you and shit.
Yeah, exactly. So like, you know, I wouldn't say nothing happens in the movie. You just don't see anything. Like, that's not the same thing. It's not like there's a climax that never comes. Like, there's a climax to this movie, and like every night after the second or third night, like every night, like you're anxious for when they go to bed. Like, you don't want them to go to sleep. Like, you want them to get the F out of those woods and find the car. But like, you know, they're not going to, obviously. But it's like, it's like this movie does a great job of, you know, just keeping you on edge with the characters, and every night that they stay in the woods, like each subsequent night, you are more and more anxious. Like, they build up that tension so well until that final night where they find a house, which is like, I, you know, would never go in, but you know, it's a movie, whatever. Yeah, I know you would.
Bro. So to that point,
I'd go in, but you go in first, Tyler.
All right,
you go in first.
At my college at North Central, in the theater building, which is like one of the oldest one on campus as well too, is old building, but they had this tradition of all of the theater graduates painting their hands and putting it on the wall and then signing it underneath it, but it was down the stairs, and anytime at night you went down there and you're like, it's black to fucking Blair Witch, man. There is fucking handprints on the walls. I'm waiting for some kid to start laughing. It was the scariest staircase in the world, man.
Sure. We did that at high school.
Like, don't do it at night. It's scary as hell. But yeah, I had an absolute ball with this on this one. The crazy thing was, I felt like one of the big takeaways was when they started interviewing that lady, and she's just talking to them about her encounter.
She's holding the kid.
Well, her as well too, but like I guess kind of like all of the people at the start. I was like, damn, we have really lost the ability as just like regular people to tell stories, like to each other kind of thing and stuff. Like, We're
Well,
so
'cause
much
it's all,
we're so much worse at
hey,
talking.
I got it on Snapchat. Like, let me just show you this video.
Yeah, that's I
Right.
guess that's what I'm saying. It's like
And
we're
that
so
kinda
much
sucks.
worse at communicating and talking than we used to be, guys.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's sad, and scary. But all of that's great setup at the start, I think too. And to Adam's point, I really did like the kind of secondary story going on between what is shot in black and white and ostensibly for the documentary, quote unquote, and then what is shot on video and is kind of this stuff that's going around it. And then because you're aware that both of them are together, you realize that someone else has put this movie together as well too, and is like choosing how this is going, and that adds another little layer to it as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of really interesting, cool choices going on here.
Yeah. No, I love the camera choices there. Because it's, you know, it's 1999, and obviously they had a colored camera and like a, you know, whatever, I don't know what that camera was exactly, but some kind of camcorder,
Well,
you know.
no,
And then
it's a video camcorder and then a 16 millimeter camera, black and white camera.
And the choice to, like, in 1999 to go and get that that's 60 millimeter camera
what you're
and shoot on that.
That's what you're shooting your documentary on, because it's like, it's that element of like it adds prestige, but it's also like, this is how we can get the best looking documentary for the price in 1999 as well too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I was also thinking about it in terms of like, all right, well, it's 1999. They got a 16 millimeter camera. If I'm conservative, I'm like, all right, well, that camera's, you know, 20 to 30 years old. And I'm like, that's the equivalent of me and going and finding a camcorder from 1999 almost. Like,
Right.
Like
Sure,
if I went in to film a documentary and like wanted it to feel like, you know, more like professional or whatever, like, you know, like in their sense, like that's the equivalent there. I'm like, that's kind of cool that they did that. And like as film students, they wanted to go back and get the cameras that the first documentaries were shot on, you know, like they were shot on the black and white film, you know, Salesman and you know, the JFK documentary. I forgot, it might just be Kennedy for whatever that's called, but like watched a few of those in my documentary class that I took in college, and like, yeah, just it definitely brought me back there, especially with those interviews at the beginning. Like they did a good job of kind of emulating that style and setting up the actual documentary, and then like you said, Nathaniel, like supplementing it with the camcorder footage, like, and those two working in tandem to tell two simultaneous like parallel stories almost. It's really it's really effective. I really like that choice.
Yeah, and also, I mean, outside of all that, which is probably the most known part of the film, it's just how mega or viral this was. Right?
Oh yeah,
like when this came out, like even you type in Blair Witch Project right now on Google, like some of the first Google pop-ups are like, is the Blair Witch Project real? Right, like that's just how ingrained it was. Where it's when this came out, I mean, didn't they have? I want to say they had like websites set up with the actual actors, and people thought these people went missing.
Yeah,
it was
apparently
crazy.
Apparently at con, when it like appeared or whatever, they put up missing persons posters for the actors and stuff.
That's awesome.
But like this was the first time you heard about a movie having a website, and like people going to the website for a movie and being like and tying into that. That's the first time anything like that had ever happened in the culture, kind of thing as well too, or risen to that level, obviously.
Absolutely. And then you got to take yourself back to just what the internet was at that time as well. Where like it wasn't like you couldn't just like Google shit and instantly get results.
Yeah, well, and just,
you know what I mean?
If you didn't know these people, you had no way to know if they disappeared or not. Like
exactly.
You just couldn't believe them because you weren't going to find out. They were going to post about it in 30 minutes and be like, got you guys. Like they were gone and no one knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very Bermuda Triangle-esque. It's almost kind of like that lost space. It really kind of starts to play with your mind. Like, you're lost in the woods, but at some point, did you just cross over into whatever this
purgatory
witch's spell is over that land, and it's constantly, even though you feel like you're moving a lot, you're just constantly moving around in like the same very small circle.
Well, I know in kind of like to what Adam was saying earlier, where they were kind of led along by the drops at one point. Apparently, the directors did actually trick them into kind of walking in a circle that day. And so they're kind of, when they walk and come back to the same camp and their frustration, that's all
the same log.
Yeah, that's all real. They like that was
Okay.
them actually being like successfully tricked into kind of like orienteering themselves back to where they started, kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's a great scene too, though.
For sure. And I
So
believe
great.
it was Nathaniel's point earlier where like this film in its shell of just being stuck in the woods, that's already a terrifying principle, right? For anybody, let alone you can't get your bearings, you don't know which direction you're walking, you're coming across the same things over and over again, and you swear you know you're not walking in a circle. So it does have a lot of horror elements that work well for it, and that stuff ultimately holds up. So yeah, kudos to the director for that. That's a neat tip on Nathaniel's end, because that's not something I was aware of. So kudos to the director to even set that up that way.
I think one of the scary things too that I picked up in probably like my early 20s, when actually probably even earlier, kind of in my late teens, watching this over again. I was a smoker, and I can't imagine being stuck out in the woods and everybody
losing.
having a nicotine addiction and nobody having cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yo, it's so wild for that guy to find 2 cigarettes at the bottom of his pack on day 7 or whatever it was. Because I was like, dude, I would have like, how would you like not see them before?
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah.
I initially thought he was like hallucinating. Yeah, I thought he was hallucinating, like smoking a cigarette. Like, oh, I found extra ones, and like he was like playing it off, and then they actually started smoking them. And I was like, how the hell did you miss that? But
and how the hell did a cigarette survive in the bottom of your bag?
Exactly. Like, come on.
Well, and then I thought too on the second watch, I guess I had remembered them all being friends ahead of time, but it really is that like they pick up Mike and he's just the sound guy and they don't actually know him that well. And so I really do like the turn too of just being like, even if there is nothing supernatural going along, all of a sudden you're out alone in the woods and there's this guy you don't know.
Yeah, it's like who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, and then like he kind of starts to lose it a little bit before everyone else too, and you're just like, oh shit, like, well, this could be a problem real quick kind of thing too. And yeah, the turn of the kicking the map into the river is great too.
That was not something I saw coming, because like that's just even a whole other element of like paranoia that would add. If someone admitted that to me in that situation,
in the creek, what do you mean? Like, you guys weren't doing shit.
And you're just like, oh my god.
But like, we still have some kind of idea how to read a map. Like, it was 100%, still useful.
Like,
right? Like, we could find a landmark somewhere and then like go from there. Like,
and just like to realize you're in the woods with that guy. Like that's just one of the worst parts.
That's the real horror movie right there.
But it's interesting though, because to your point, right, where everyone's like, oh, like they got rid of the map, but like you could see it at one point. They're like slowly accepting, like, okay, like this. There's no way we're in like a real realm right now, per se, right? Like all logic's out the window. We're being overtaken by whatever entity is out there.
Yeah, I do like that element where eventually they do just kind of crumble, and you as a viewer, you're like, I would have too, like 100%.
Oh, for sure.
Like, you're there with them, and then like I think that's what makes the ending effective as well too, and just. Adam, do you have any sort of like feelings when you know that you do get that final walk down the stairs and you see Mike standing in the corner, and you know that's the end of the movie?
You know, there was part of me that was disappointed because in terms of like the ending, what was spoiled for me, I've seen that frame of the guy just like facing a brick wall. I've seen that frame before and knew it was from this movie, so like I knew that's like I knew that was associated somehow. And then, but I didn't fully put it together until she started walking on the stairs. I was like, he's about to be facing the corner, and then and I was like, this is great. But no, I thought that was a very satisfying ending for me. Of course, there's part of me that like, of course, wants to see monster or whatever entity is chasing them. But like I don't think this movie needs to show that for it to be effective. And like like we were saying earlier, like it's all about the imagination part of it. So I think it works really well that they give you several options as to like what this monster could be at the beginning when they're interviewing those people in the town. It's like, you know, use a blend of this, pick one, use a mix of them, like whatever you want to do, like, and that's your figure that's kind of haunting, like whatever, and like that's, you know, very effective.
Blake, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say there's even records out there where they originally filmed something, the directors, where you could see a witch, but ultimately they didn't put that in the final cut, which I think does wonders for this film.
Yeah,
to never include that.
Right? Yeah, apparently it's the where the tent gets attacked at night.
Yes,
there was a guy dressed like head to toe in like white and was like running alongside, and it's the moment where you hear Heather say, "What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?" The cameraman was supposed to pan to the left, but he was so scared he just kept running, basically. And like that's why you never see the witch. So there really was something over there. It was one of the production staff dressed all like that running along beside them, and that was what she was reacting to. But yeah, that's why it's also not in the movie as well too. And
I kind of love that.
Yeah, it is.
And because I love that line too, where she's like, "What's that?" And like, you don't see what she's seeing.
Right. Yeah.
Like because she kind of indicates that like she can see it from where she's standing. Either she looked back and it's chasing them, or you know it's somewhere near them, and then like you don't see it. And the fact, and I love that even more, knowing that the cameraman was just like whoever's holding that camera, Josh or Michael, is just too scared to fucking pan. That's funny.
And I think too, like there is the alternate reading you can make where Mike and Josh are out there to kill Heather, and like that's the other
that's another huge reading people have.
That you can say that like Josh, I think it's like the theory is that like Josh and Heather used to be together or something like that, and Josh and Mike have teamed up to like trick her to go out into the woods and get rid of her.
Which I don't know if I'm quite behind that all the way. I'd have to do some more research, you know what I mean, to see if things actually add up in the film.
It definitely doesn't, but it's still like it's a cool thing again because of the way because the film is constructed the way that it is, where you have the mockumentary framing and the kind of video elements around it, and the fact that it is all edited together. You still have that ability as the viewer to say, well, you know, you can argue that there's this reading of it or there's this kind of interpretation, and you know that is cool and a fun element of it as well too, even if you know you don't personally find it satisfying or anything like that. Obviously the more fun thing is there's a Blair Witch and she's spooky.
We're all a little spooky.
We all
Yeah, I really don't think you can even fathom nor duplicate like what this film did in real time. I don't think it's possible. I think the closest thing we had, ironically, just happens to be the film we did last week.
I was gonna ask
for sure.
That was about the other
which do you guys think has a greater effect? Like I couldn't see either of these in real time, so like what do you guys looking back think had a kind of greater effect?
I wish I was old enough to really capture the effect.
Yeah.
Like I wish I was 18 or 19 when that came out, so I could really understand. But ultimately, I can't.
That's
what you're gonna say, Nathaniel.
I mean, it's one of those things like if you want to like trace the like, I think it's the normal film history or whatever it is. It's kind of like you get Cannibal Holocaust in the 70s, which does the original found kind of footage thing, but there's other obviously found footage quote unquote movies before then as well too, but that's the first kind of infamous one. And then you have Blair Witch in 98, and then you have 98, 99, and then you have Paranormal in 07, and then that just kicks the door open because it's seen as a moneymaker at that point then, right? And now I just don't think you could do it again, because the next thing that will be that gets people to like believe and buy into it too or something will be a TikTok or something. It won't be. Yeah, I'm serious. It'll be a YouTube video
No,
or something.
you're laughing, but it's
100% right.
It won't be it won't be a film.
It's tragic.
It won't be a film that does it because that's not the medium that like is the recorder of reality anymore. If you need people to believe it and kind of buy in on that level, it's got to be something more instantaneous, more on a cell phone nowadays. It just is how it is.
Goldfish brain.
But like, and that's where I think you get those movies like Unfriended or Windows or whatever it is, or Searching, where like you have like the computer screen movies and that kind of thing nowadays too and stuff.
Yep. Unfriended, dark web.
Yeah.
Whatever those things are. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there'll be something else for sure. But, or, you know, we'll wait another 40 years and people will forget the trick and then someone else will pull it off successfully in some other way that we haven't even thought about yet. And it'll be fun.
We'll just remake it.
Well, they did do that. What was that, 2016?
Yeah, which a movie I saw in theaters. And, I mean, that's got some good jump scares in it as well, too.
Yeah. And to Adam's point, you do see a little more.
Yeah, that is true.
More in the remake.
That sucks.
Who is the director of that?
That is Adam Wingard. It is.
Yeah,
our boy. His best movie still The Guest. Love that movie.
Yeah, Blair Witch. Which I think that one's just called Blair Witch in the 2016.
Yeah, but do you remember? Yes. Do you remember when that came out too? No one knew it was a Blair Witch movie. Originally, it was released under a trailer that was just called The Woods, and then like 2 weeks before it was like released in theaters, they were like, "Psych, it's a Blair Witch movie," and I remember that's what sold me. Like I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna go see that." Yeah. So I thought that was a pretty...
Oh yeah, here wait, I just see I'm looking it up now. I'm looking at images and The Woods is actually one of the movie posters. They have like movie posters.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like
but it's the same symbol as Blair Witch in the poster, so maybe this is like I don't know.
Yeah, but like
an official thing.
As far as like marketing things go, that's a pretty clever like twist on like the Blair Witch original one where like we're going to make a secret Blair Witch that you didn't know about kind of thing.
That is cool. Is that one worth watching?
I'm almost curious to rewatch it now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I probably should. I don't think I've seen that since it came out in theaters.
As I recall, the premise is that it's Heather's brother coming out to find her because maybe he watches the original or something like that and like slows it down and sees like a single frame in the house of like an actual witch or something. And then he goes out there with some friends. And obviously it's 2016. So like the updates are they have a drone and like, it's all in color and like there's like trail cams and stuff like that. But I think it was a pretty good update as I remember, as most horror movies do. I think remembering it loses it in the back third, but, I think it's worth a watch, maybe.
All right. It looks interesting based on what I'm seeing here on these.
Yeah,
screen grabs.
Halloween night. You got a little bit of time left, man. Chuck it on.
Well, I'm about to throw on the Batman.
Oh, you're sick, man. Great movie though,
because it's a Halloween movie.
On the pod, do we?
That's true.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we did that in theaters, bro.
We reviewed it when it came out.
We did that in real time, right?
Yeah, we did.
That's what I'm thinking.
The movie, the movie opens with him saying Thursday, October 31st. Today is Thursday, October 31st.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think it's like
fair.
It's a Halloween movie.
Top 30 on the podcast.
Project Journal.
Anybody watch
2 years
the Penguin Show?
I've seen the first episode.
I've heard it's really good. I've
seen the
not
first
seen it, though.
Want to watch more, just haven't had the time.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
I've
heard all redeeming qualities.
It's spooky movie season.
Yeah, I hear you.
Let's get out of spoilers though, gents.
Oh, yeah,
if we're done
sorry.
Blair Witch. No, I also lost the fact that we were still in spoilers. But welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're going to go ahead and throw the Blair Witch Project up upon the entry list. For those of you who do not know, the entry list is Back Row Banter's official list of every movie we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. It's essentially how we rate our movies, rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is. We throw up all the movies we review on a list and see how they compare to one another. If you want to reference the entry list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where it's linked to my Letterboxd.
Oh, Dokely.
Okay. So where did Paranormal Activity land? Like 120 something, right?
I still haven't seen Terrifier 3 yet. I want to.
Give it a shot, man. I love those movies. Dude.
I'm a firmly in number. I think we talked about this on pod. I'm firmly in number 2's camp. Like that. It's so much better than 1. It's not even funny. So I'm excited for 3. Yeah, Paranormal Activity.
It's 147.
147. Definitely above that.
For me as well.
It's gotta be.
How about, let's see, let's look around here. Look around. I'm looking around like, how about 94? That's below Blade, above Frozen 2, above Predator, below Nightmare Alley, below District 9, Paid in Full. I'm kind of vibing with a lot of that stuff because there's some classics in there, like your Terminators and stuff. Is there anything above it that I'm like egregious? A couple. Is there anything?
This is a tough one.
The Descent is at 101.
Descent's at 101. Yeah, that's a good point.
And then you guys just fucking
Barbarian
it up for no reason. Barbarian though.
Yeah, okay. I forget. Okay, so the horror. That's the other thing is we've done so many horror movies. There's almost a separate horror movie list embedded within.
Yeah,
there
is. There 100% is
the Entropy list. So I've got to rearrange based on that. I'm sorry, guys, but I can't put it below the menu. So,
Wait, where's the menu again?
That's 116.
Okay.
You know, okay, we gotta go. We gotta go 102. We gotta go 102. But I'm gonna go below the Descent. But I gotta go above Deadpool and Wolverine. Malignant, a little bit of sizzle for what I watched. I actually rewatched this past weekend, so I'm fresh off of that one. And I think,
nice.
I think I would still probably watch Blair Witch before I watched Malignant next.
Wow.
Okay.
Interesting.
I don't even like Malignant.
I really like
this one. If I recall, though, Malignant is a little lengthy as well.
I really like this one. Yeah.
It is close to 2.
Yeah, this is like an hour.
It's 120.
15.
Yeah,
it was like 121. Man. It was so perfectly. The runtime was perfect.
I'm really high on this one. I know I might be a little crazy, but I think that's where I'll stick for right now. Yeah, I'm gonna go 102.
I'll follow up. Ultimately, I'm gonna have to match that, right? So when I was kind of looking, my hard cap was immediately The Descent at 101. We're a little different because The Descent's not a found footage,
but still that same Stone Cold classic status. Like,
for sure,
for the horror heads,
I think that's a horror like masterpiece per se, and arguably I would say it does a few things better than Blair Witch.
Okay,
in that,
I can see
that The Descent, it's got the movie itself is already scary. That's being lost in the woods, similar to just cave diving, being fucking stuck and claustrophobic, right? However, I think the extracurriculars, for lack of a better term, in The Descent are a little more compelling, right, and a little more interesting and nerve-wracking.
That's a great point, sir.
The extracurriculars of the Blair Witch Project.
You're solidifying my choice.
Yeah, I'm 102. Got to go below. Got to go above Deadpool. Got to go above Malignant. Got to go above Barbarian. TNT is kind of difficult though, but I'm gonna let it slide.
Dude, that's also when I was like, all right, so you guys are both 102.
Yeah.
Ty, do you have a spot?
Yeah, just my thought process, and a little bit of sizzle as well. I have watched another movie that is also on our list, pretty much almost directly right after I watched this. So that might have some kind of effect on me as well. But this does not break my gatekeeper, unfortunately, which for horror movies, you guys know, is Trick or Treat, which just also happens to be the movie that I did watch basically right after this.
Yeah.
And I just fucking love that movie.
For sure.
And like I said, I think it's just this movie just has not particularly aged well for me. I think there's still a huge appreciation for it. I still think it's a great film, but I think it's just so heavily predicated on whether or not you've seen the movie before. So on that note, I'm gonna have to at least it's right there just because Shang-Chi is Shang-Chi, and then you do have Us. You do have one of my other favorites, which is we did Paranormal Activity, Insidious down there, but I will give it the benefit of the doubt, and I will put this right below Trick or Treat at 132.
Fair enough. 132 is fair. I'm a little torn because like Malignant, Barbarian, TMNT are tough, but then like there's definitely I would want to put it above Deadpool. I would low-key personally put it above The Descent, Challengers, Fableman. Like I want to put it below La La Land, but I'm like that seems a little high. I don't know. I think I'll maybe play it a little safe. And I'll put it below Barbarian, above TMNT. So 105 below Barbarian and above Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. I think that's going to be my final spot for it. I think TMNT it's tough. I do like that movie a lot, but I don't want to drop this one too much. And it's definitely above Doctor Strange for me. So, but yeah, I'm feeling good about that spot. Our final ranking then, with all that being said, is going to be 110.25, meaning it'll go below A Quiet Place and above American Gangster. It's not a bad spot for it. A Quiet Place, definitely a favorite of mine personally, just for that theater viewing experience is one of the best I've ever had. And
I can see that.
Still hold very near and dear to myself personally. So I'm good with a 111 ranking right there. I feel like he could go a bit higher, Ty dragging us down a little bit, but it's still a decent spot.
Sorry, boys.
You know what? It happens, man. I respect your Trick or Treat love. You've stayed true to that movie over the years. So you know what? I can't do nothing but respect it.
Yeah, and kudos to you for watching that after this Trick or Treat, where that's one I was debating getting to today myself.
Yeah.
That's an awesome day of Halloween film.
Sure.
So good.
Up there with the OG Halloween.
Sure.
For sure.
Thursday, October 31st.
Or for Adam, the Batman. If you want to waste 7 hours on Halloween.
Well, listen, man, I won't be able to watch it on the same day as that line for another 7 years. So like, you got to take advantage.
Very true.
I also haven't watched that movie.
Not how the calendar works.
Is that not Thursday on a Thursday?
There's leap years, homie.
Oh, you're right. So longer then. Yeah. So what would that be? Maybe 8 years or 9 years. I don't know how many leap years. It's too much for me to figure out right now. But I could have.
Considering the fact you're in a leap year right now.
We currently are. That is correct.
That's right.
Yeah, I would have not have known that at all, to be honest.
I just forgot this was a leap year. Honestly, that feels like a long time ago.
In a year, there's a Summer Olympics.
No.
Oh, okay. So that's the easy way to makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if that's
in
an
my head.
easy
I know,
way
I
to,
know
like,
the cadence of the leap years.
remember
I know it's like
I can confirm they're every 4 years. I can do
Yeah.
that much. As far as which 4 years, I don't know.
yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, anyway, okay, maybe however many years it is, I don't know. But yes, several. Anyway, we don't have anything scheduled for next week, unless I'm missing something, fellas.
Ooh,
So
no, we do not.
Sounds like it's time for everyone's favorite host,
Post-pod Adam. Post-pod Adam. Post-pod Adam. Post-pod Adam. Yeah. That's the post-pod Adam
Wow.
theme for you folks.
Wow, thank you, Nathaniel, for that lovely intro theme song. I'm going to make that my ringtone. Yes, listeners, it's I, Postpod Adam, coming at you with an update on what we were watching next week. After some deliberation, we landed on the movie Seven, the Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman movie from 1995. That is currently available to rent or buy on any of your favorite streaming platforms like Apple TV, Prime, Amazon, all that stuff. So you can go rent it there. Or if you are a subscriber to BBC America, it's telling me that you can watch it there for free. But I am not a subscriber to BBC America. So if you're like me, and I'm assuming most people, you can go ahead and rent it or buy it if you want on a different streaming service. And then join us for our review next week. Wow, wasn't that lovely? Cool. Thanks, Adam, or Postpod Adam, for letting us know what we're watching next week. I can't wait to watch that movie. Cool. Do we want to do a quick what we're watching, fellas? Do you guys have anything on your lists that you guys want to talk about?
I got to a couple.
Go ahead, man.
Go for it.
Well, one, I did go to the Cosm, the ultimate sports viewing experience.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Brutally disappointing in terms of who won and lost the fights. Overjoyed and exciting in terms of a viewing experience. So, highs and lows. But yeah, I mean, I've long been a big believer that for as a viewing experience, not necessarily an in-person experience, like big sporting events, you're basically going to have a better view on television at this point in the year of our Lord 2024. But if you want to actually, obviously have the atmosphere, that's going to be great. The Cosm thing might be the better thing than a TV at this point, though. I gotta say, guys, being there and in person, it tricks your brain. The whole thing is really cool. It was wild.
I love things that trick my brain.
Because you get a different viewing angle, and then they've also at the edge of the screen where you would think the screen ends, they do some sort of CGI matting so that whatever stadium you're in fits into the room that you're in as well, the dome that you're in as well too. Yeah. There's a former UFC fighter there. That was cool to see. She was in the audience with us. But yeah, that was pretty neat. And I would recommend people checking it out if they have the chance. I think there's only two. One in Dallas and one in LA, so good luck. But if anyone's ever there, I would recommend. I'm sure Chicago will get one soon. In terms of things I watched, got to a movie that we have on the pod, the sequel, or actually the part 2, I should say, of Insidious.
Oh, I was going to say Dune part 2.
Nice.
Okay.
Adam also funny.
Yeah, Adam's wrong as usual, and as he is often about Dune. But no, Insidious Part 2 still pretty good. I mean, I think it ties in well, man. It's really good. I think might be one we should talk about for the pod. But fun lead up for Halloween. Also got to a lot of the show Scare Tactics. I'm sure Tyler
Sounds familiar.
and Blake have seen that. It's basically like Candid Camera, but it's scare the shit out of people. It was on Sci-Fi in probably the mid thousands, 2010s something. But then they brought it back maybe 5 years or 2 or 3 years ago by Jordan Peele, and it was really funny as well too. And then also got to, as I said earlier, the what did I say? Maybe I was talking about Insidious Chapter 2. Oh, no, I saw Malignant. We watched Malignant as well, too, obviously. More James Wan.
2 James Wans.
Yeah. I got to more James Wan. And then also saw a bit of Texas Chainsaw, the OG.
Oh, you're rolling. Okay.
It was a scary movie weekend in Texas.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second Insidious in some time.
I saw it in theaters, but that was the second time I've seen it since then, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while. Doesn't that pick off immediately where the first one ends?
It ends. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe I should try to get a rewatch of that. Maybe like next Halloween or something. I haven't seen that in a long time. What year is the second one? What, 14, 15?
I think so, yeah, because no, it must have been later because
10 years?
I did it in college. I remember I wrote a newspaper article about it because I went to see it with like the guy that I was doing the newspaper article on, and I like recorded his reactions during it. So it must have been like 2016, 17 maybe?
Okay.
No, I graduated in 2015. What am I talking about? So no, it would have been
okay. So then it may be
13,
14, 15.
Yeah, it would have been
13,
14. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think Juan did this then Conjuring.
I forgot that. Yeah, I forgot that was in there. He was working hard,
dude.
man.
Yeah,
that's funny. Shout out James Wan though. I've got funny enough on my what we're watching list. I've got a small James Wan.
I'm done, by the way. So whoever wants to take over.
Ty, do you want to go? I know you said you got to Trick or Treat.
Yeah, I got to Trick or Treat, and then honestly, really not much else. There was that Netflix movie. I think it's called like What's Inside or something like that. But I'm pretty sure I told you guys that I watched that. I don't know if I told the pod that I watched that.
I think, yeah.
But I vaguely remember talking about that. But yeah, really nothing too crazy. It's actually been a pretty busy week, and as most of you know, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 has come out, so that's kind of what my time has been dedicated to.
Bro, it's good.
It's
fun to play. For me, it's fun to play, man. I've been enjoying my time on it. I haven't gotten too much into it. Probably, under 10 hours, maybe 5 to 8 hours on it, but it's been fun for me.
Yeah, it hasn't been bad. I think it's still just one of those things where like, we're still kind of playing the same game we have been for the last
it's absolutely
years,
just
but
it's nothing revolutionary, but it's fun,
No, for sure. I think, anytime we get to kind of reload back into pubs and not worry about Warzone or something like that, it kind of brings you back to like just a nostalgic feel of what Call of Duty used to be.
Right.
And
because it's the first COD I've enjoyed playing in at least 3 years, really.
Yeah.
And like wanted to go back to instead of feeling like I like should, like that kind of thing. Like, it's been a while since I've had that.
And there's a campaign that isn't dog shit, which I have played through, which I have thoroughly enjoyed.
I've heard that's good.
And then there's fucking zombies, and it's round-based zombies, which is just absolutely premium to have again, versus having to do like all the dumb shit they've made you do in the past few zombies. So it's been great. They got Easter eggs. You can literally spend hours in zombies, and it is an absolute fucking blast. So that's kind of what my time's been dedicated to, other than football, Formula One, and
I did watch most of the race on the on my flight.
Oh, nice. Well, that's good that you had access.
Yeah, that's why
full total access.
I actually didn't see how it ended though. Like our flight like into the descent right as like there was like 2 laps left. So it's like when I left, it was still Ferrari 1-2, I think.
Yeah, it definitely has switched up. I think
it's been
Max is really kind of hurting himself more than anybody.
Well, that was a bit crazy.
Yeah, and he's just he's clearly not happy in his car. So it'll be very interesting to see what the rest of the season plays out as. I still think he locks down the world championship. I think there was some pretty serious conversations that probably went on and behind some closed doors after this last weekend, and I think there will be some very serious considerations as to who is going to replace Checo because I really don't see him making it into next season. With
Max,
just how poorly his performance has been, but
Max needs someone to both push and kind of like keep him interested too in some ways. You see,
yeah, for sure. I think he definitely needs that in a teammate. He needs somebody else that's also very competitive, and he just he's just frustrated and he's kind of acting like a little child right now. But
you think they put Ricardo back in that seat?
No, unfortunately, I don't. I really don't. Ricardo doesn't want to go back to Red Bull.
Yeah,
I think he is really just kind of done. If they were going to put him in there and try to really capture anything else that he kind of mentally had left, I think they would have done it.
It was
during the summer break, and they didn't. So I really don't think he will be. I think he'll be around the grid, maybe in some way, shape, or form, or he'll be in just another
instant
form of racing. But
instant easy hire for the like personality
for
side of the like Formula One. Like he'll work for Formula One if they need him to, kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Or he could just retire. I'm sure he's got plenty of money.
Yeah, that's also true.
The
like
rest of his life.
He's like what 35 or some shit, and a multi
Yeah, it's
lives in.
Yeah, he's definitely made enough money to live off of for the rest of his life if he wants. So
lives in Montenegro or whatever, some tax haven, and doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, must be nice.
Must be nice. Anyways,
that's all I really got to. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I've not gotten to much. Been watching just a lot of sports. So, unfortunately, been watching Mizzou football. The Bears losing, and then Bulls are like 2-2. But yeah, I don't know. Basketball's back, which is fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I want to get to the Penguin. I'm going to try to do that soon. I need to finish House of the Dragon. I know I'm behind on that, but I haven't finished that second season. Yeah, second season's been like, okay, I'm watched 3 episodes of it, and it's been fine.
Zero interest.
Yeah, I will see how this... I'm going to finish this season, but we'll see if they hold me for another one. I don't know. Too much stuff to watch, but... Yeah, also been playing Call of Duty. That was fun. And it's been most of my time. Been very busy recently, so hopefully once the winter kind of kicks in and it's dark outside. I mean, it's already dark outside way earlier than I want it to be, but there's less stuff going on day to day. Then that's time to get into some movies, some shows, some anime maybe. So.
Blue.
You know what?
We watched Leah and I watched Casper the Friendly Ghost. So
are we talking the OG from like 92 or whatever it is, or the remake that was horrible?
There's a remake?
OG. I thought so.
I think there was just a Casper 2. I think there's a Casper 3. I think there's a Casper Christmas special. But yeah, no, full blown OG.
I got you. Yep.
I forgot to mention, I watched Evangelion Rebuild 4, whatever, 3.0 plus 1.11. Yes, finally finished the rebuilds. I have gotten through the 3 of them and then failed to complete the 4th once or twice. So finally this over the weekend I had a free night and I was like, I can either go use my A-list subscription, maybe go watch them in the theaters, but I was like, meh,
there really
I'm dying to watch. There's been a couple things where I'm like, I've got A-list. If I'm going to watch a movie, there's some things in theaters. Maybe I'll go see this. And then I wanted to watch that Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh movie. But then my sister was like, hey, I'd love to go see that, and we can go see it together at some point. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll hold off on that. And at that point, I was like, well, there's a couple movies I'd go watch, or I've got Evangelion on DVD that I need to finish, and that sounds fun. So I watched that. I'll have to rewatch that at some point because the last 20 minutes are just
mind blowing.
Yes. Just nuts, dude.
Yes.
I thought the end of Evangelion was a lot of things to take in. But the last 20 minutes of that movie are just almost anxiety inducing with like how much just is presented to you in such short amount of time. It was too much for my brain to comprehend in the first viewing. So.
What a unique thing of artwork, man. Like to have like the series and then have the original
I love it.
End of Eva and then to have the rebuilds too. Like what a weird,
I love it, man.
What a weird thing for like this guy to come back to and like kind of keep telling the same story over again, but like in different iterations and like
right.
And in
different animation styles.
Yeah, different forms. You know. It's just really unique, really cool. Yeah, I'm thankful for it. I think there's a way to like look at the thing as a whole, and then obviously you can just even look at them all individually as well. It's just really special art and really cool that it's out there. So shout out Evangelion.
Yeah, man. I was talking about this with a friend of mine not too long ago. And we were talking about, actually it was two of my friends, and one of them was kind of arguing against Evangelion that I kind of hype it up too much, and I'm just like I have a personal like attachment to that in the sense that as like I want to call myself like a creative or whatever it is, you know, whatever term you want to do that, but like I do video and stuff for my job, for social media stuff, like videos like that, and have done video editing for a minute now. And like I just feel like there's always choices you make in creating video, especially in like other art forms too, but especially in video, where it's like, all right, well, I can edit something this way, this way, this way, or this way, and like you kind of maybe test a couple of them out and you kind of find what works best, but like maybe you make a certain choice, and like once you commit to that, you kind of have to follow that path along like whatever edit you make or choice you make. But like the audacity of Hideki Anno to be like, well, I want to make some different choices. Like, let me just rewind a little bit. Let me just go back. Let me just run it back and like, let me just go and make a few different choices, and we'll see where we go from there. Like I just love that as someone who like has to make those same kind of choices in my, you know, projects that I work on. And like to see that reflected in like a show like that, where it's just like, yeah, but like, what if this happened instead? Or like, what if I chose to do this instead? And like to go back and do the rebuilds like that is so cool to see. And I like just have a personal like affinity for someone who is like that bold to just be like, hey, can you give me money so I can like redo what I've already done? like just give me a big budget in an animation.
I can make it better.
Yeah, I can.
I want you guys to know.
Well, like, or even to just be like, take the other side of it too, of just being like, hey, well, like, I made this thing that's classic. Want to see me fucking do it again?
Dude, yes.
Like, it is
so
like,
good.
It is like something kind of like Star Wars-y about it too. But like, imagine if like George Lucas got like the rights back now at this point and was just like, fuck it, I'm doing it all over again, like kind of thing.
Yeah, like if George Lucas like redid the sequel trilogy like on his own terms, like that kind of thing. Like
I think that's how we get Blake into Star Wars. We reel him in with a full blown reboot.
We have to Evangelion him.
And we need some Denny in there with George to
there
really
you go.
pull him in.
There you go.
Okay, now we're talking. There may be a movie out there.
Yeah, it's called Dune.
Like that. Right?
Mm-hmm. There's two of them. Soon to be a third.
Yeah, is there? I mean, the first one's really great, but that second one just really, you know, it's all action. Really, no story.
All action. That's everyone's problem with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, there's just not really enough going on.
That's funny.
Doom Part 2 or Blair Witch? Whoa, it's all full circle. Whoa.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah, Evangelion's sick. Really quick, Nathaniel, how do you recommend it to people? Like, what do you tell them? Because for me, you showed it to me and you kind of just put it on. You're like, you're going to love this. And like, I did, obviously. And like, you're like, this is one of my favorite things. It's important to me. And like, I think you should watch this or at least give it a shot. And, you know, I was open enough to it. But like, I don't think enough people, at least in Western culture especially, like are on board for what Evangelion has in store. Like I have a hard time recommending it.
It is a difficult one to recommend. It's a special thing, the Evangelion rec. And you just treat it as such, that you just lean into that, man. It's you wait for the right person that you want to infect with it. and then you just let them, let it blossom for them occasionally. It's generally good if it's one of your friends and you know that they are emotionally attached to things, because then it's just like, oh yeah, want to go on a journey? But
want to play a game?
yeah, it's Evangelion's not going to work for everyone, and it will work for some people on different levels too. Like there's like I know Tyler loves it, but like Tyler, to him it's like there's just there's the aesthetic and like the like awesome giant robots fighting value of it as well too, that like I think he takes from it more than I do as well. So it's still you just lean into it. It's your special gift to give to people.
Yeah, you'll know. You'll know when to give it to someone.
Yeah, it's definitely not one you can go around saying you got to check this out, because like most people,
it's not a starter anime. It's not going to be.
Oh, absolutely.
You're like, hey, welcome to anime. Start with Evangelion.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah, it's just unfortunate because it's like something I wish more people connected with, and like I could recommend to more people so I could talk about it more.
Sure,
but it's just like. I have yet to find someone who hadn't already seen it already, because I've got some friends that have already seen it that enjoy it.
Sure.
But like I've yet to find a friend that like likes anime but hasn't seen it yet. And I'm like, all right, well, like let's get into this a little bit.
You need like you need like a Kindle, because like I got to show Kindle
I do need a Kindle.
Initial D, because like the feeling for anime was already there.
Right.
And then I was like, it's not just all everybody has superpowers and beats the shit out of each other. Like there's cars. And he's like,
yeah, there's
I was like, I like cars.
Have you considered cars?
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I've got a buddy of mine who like I've been introducing more movies to recently. My buddy Danny, who I showed Green Room to.
Noah,
and some other things. Not Noah 3.
Noah 6.
Yeah. But no, he's not a big anime guy. So like that's why I can't like really show him Evangelion, and I don't think he'd appreciate it.
Show him Redline.
I should show him Redline. That's one I need to go around showing him.
I do like that one.
No one's seen that.
The only problem with Redline is boobs.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the super boyings.
Yeah, and the second you throw boobs into cartoons,
I did
people
forget
are like,
about that.
Yeah, people are like, you watch
it's-
this? This is what you like about this? I was like, no, this is not what I like about this. This is just a product of the environment.
Yeah,
prick.
man. I'm sweet JP.
Just appreciate the culture, all right? This is just Japanese culture.
Yeah. Are you a man of culture or are you not?
Right. All right. Well, that's been Evangelion talk. Sorry to rope us in there. We almost escaped quickly,
true.
but
all good.
I apologize, but we made it out. Here we are. Let's see. Show plugs here. Share the podcast. Share with a friend, a family member. If you're lost in the woods, you got nothing better to do. If you get like some kind of cell service,
real quick here before you wrap that up, I want to mention that I did get to one thing
I was gonna say
that I wanted to chat about.
We didn't talk, Blake. Go, Blake, go.
No worries, fellas, but I did get to the Suspiria remake.
Oh,
and
damn.
I love that movie.
Okay. Dude, I'm glad to hear it.
I
have not.
It's funny
That's
you mentioned
really
that,
good.
Blake, because Dave Papa Schwartz comes up to me the other day and goes, "Watch." I think he watched the original Suspiria.
Okay.
And he goes, "I watched Suspiria because I heard someone talk about it on what we're watching.
Okay.
I hate it. I will never watch the movie again."
was it the remake or the original?
I think it was the original. I don't think he's.
Okay.
Seen I don't think he watched the remake.
I could see him.
He's like, that movie was terrible. he was mad that he watched it.
The original has a funny way. Like I watched it on Tubi, and the original is so old, and it's dubbed, and the sound audio is really bad. It has a unique way of making it feel like it's a fucking like made for Tubi movie.
Oh, it's
like almost makes you committed even more.
It's a super. It's a sober acid trip. The original one, like it's crazy. Yeah,
for sure. But the remake from 2018, that's got I think it's Dakota Johnson, Mia Goth, Chloe Grace Moretz, handful of actresses in there.
Tilda, our girl Tilda Swinton.
Thank you. Yes, Tilda. Yeah, who plays? I didn't even realize she plays
dual
multiple
roles.
fucking
Yeah,
characters.
yeah.
Yeah, man, that movie is good, and that's what more remakes should be. That's gonna be my final talking point. Is not just a shot for shot of the original, but like you take the idea, you take the lore, expand on it, put some new ideas into it, and ultimately, kind of flesh it out, which they did through and through. The original movie could have taken place like anywhere and really had nothing to do with a dance hall, per se. And the second one has everything to do with the dance hall. So yeah. Awesome movie. I'd recommend it. It is long though.
Yeah.
It's a beefy boy. It's like
240. Yeah.
240. Yeah. So you gotta buckle up. But really
worth
good film.
it.
It has some great body horror, which didn't expect going into it. It's good, man.
Slow burn for sure. Into a raging inferno.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when it jumps for sure. But yeah, that's all I got to. Wanted to kind of pinpoint that, so we'll see. May put something on later tonight, fall asleep too. But yeah, that's it. And then we're out of horror month, fellas, into November.
We're fucking sick. Blake's like, yeah, I might find somebody that's like getting stabbed, fall asleep too. I
know. I was like, Blake,
yeah,
we'll check on you.
He's just blending in with us.
Share the podcast, share with a friend, a family member. If you're lost in the woods, you got like 2 bars of service. You could probably download an episode or two. Stream
download it
there.
Before the woods. We'll take the
There you
downloads.
go. There you go. We got a whole backlog for you. It doesn't matter how long you're stuck out there. We've probably got a week's worth of content out there.
Over 100 episodes.
Do we have a week's worth of content? Maybe.
Easy.
I think so.
Easy.
Yeah, we definitely do. So do that. Follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and our YouTube is just Back Row Banter. Our email, if you want to send us one of those, it's backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. Nathaniel Gingrich, where can the people find you at, my man?
You can find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at NSGingrich. Follow me on Letterboxd, folks. I like the boxed. And
you like the boxed?
I like the boxed. And I'll pass it on over to Tyler.
Instagram, Letterboxd, and X, all Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES. Adam.
Find me on Twitter at Aish24 and on Letterboxd at Aish. Go follow. That's what I meant to say. Me on Letterboxd as well. AYYSH. I've been pretty consistent overall this year. That was kind of my New Year's resolution. And I have been doing a relatively decent job of keeping my stuff updated. And then like when I forget, I'll go back every once in a while and I'll just backlog stuff. So you might just see like a bunch of things spam on your feed, but go follow me there. I am keeping up. So, Blake, I think you're the last one here.
Cool. Letterboxd. I'm trying to total blank. Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. On there, logging some things. I'll rate them out of 5 stars. You can keep up there with that horror movie list I had going on there, and we'll bleed over into November a little bit. PSN, Xbox, Mr. Water Coolers. On there, playing a few video games. Fun fact on MK1, the Scream or the Ghostface trailer. Oh my God, I sound like a Zoomer calling him Scream. The Ghostface trailer dropped today for MK1. I want to say he releases next week or the week after.
Nice.
And that'll be cool. I think that's one I'll probably pay the $5, right, to get the character.
Sure.
Just too large of a role for me. So that's really cool. And that's all we've got. We appreciate the support, appreciate the listenership, and we'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
I think you got smudged or something.
There's Trabajo.
Speaking of Columbia, brother, we do unfortunately have to bring up your alma mater football team, man. What a talk about fumbling the bag. They're just not good, man. And it's unfortunate because they had so much
about the Bears
at the beginning of the year. Well, that's
hilarious.
a funny joke, and it actually kills me. But right now, we're talking about Adam's alma mater, Mizzou. But the Bears, we can get on them eventually because the Bears, it's
No, we don't have to.
Tyler,
wait
you
people's
don't
time.
even know.
How
You don't-
did my
you
Montana
don't
Grizz
even
do?
know.
Let me check back in.
I don't know, man. I don't know, Nathaniel. I'm gonna have to look that up, brother. I don't.
I think
don't
we might
know,
have had a
but,
bye week last week.
Okay.
Yeah, next one's
You
UC
know-
Davis, Montana, Saturday.
Okay.
Mizzou, incredibly disappointing season, which I feel somewhat privileged to say because we're still 5-2, which like, hey, we're probably, I think at the absolute worst, we would finish this season at 8-4 if we lose to South Carolina and Oklahoma.
Right.
We play Arkansas too, don't we? Okay, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think that'd be our floor is finishing 8-4, which like is
Sure.
still a decent season, especially in the SEC.
Mhm.
And if we finish 9-3 and 10-2 or 10-2, which like are both also still possible, it's just like that's like not a bad season. However, we're not going to make the playoffs at this point. Like our strength of schedule is just not good enough, and like that was our expectation. And in order to do that, we would have had to have beaten Alabama or to A&M to do that. Like we could only really have been a 1-loss team with our schedule, and we lost both those games terribly. And so like we shouldn't be ranked right now. Somehow we're still 25. Like that shouldn't be a thing. Our quarterback, we have 3-star wide receivers, like 3 very good wide receivers. And a solid and a good enough running back room, and we have our 5th-year quarterback who it's his 3rd year starting.
Yeah.
So like you should be killing people.
Yeah.
You have a top 3 wide receiver in the country and 2 very good receivers behind him, a solid running back room, solid tight end, solid O-line, and quarterback can't throw the ball when you have all of that together. Like he just looks lost in the pocket. In his
like the
3rd years as a
Jets.
starter, it does sound like the Jets.
Funny enough, I'm watching.
It does sound
Instead
like
of
the
watching a
Jets.
horror movie today, I'm watching the Jets play football, and yeah, the Jets fucking suck.
Yeah,
It's really
But,
bad.
But yeah, man, Mizzou, I think it comes down to quarterback and offensive play calling, and I don't know what changed from last year to this year, because in theory, like we should be the same, if not better. And we have just looked just bad, just straight up bad. And especially in the A&M game, especially in that Alabama game. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We can't have anything nice in life.
Plenty of room on the Grizz bandwagon, man. Anytime you want to come on over,
I may just have to hop on at some point.
The FBS is the FBS water is fine.
Yeah, man, but like at this point, Mizzou football sucks. Mizzou basketball sucks. Bears football, it's good-ish, but like it's a 4-3 team that should be 6-1, and that sucks. The fucking baseball Cubs didn't even make the playoffs, and the fucking Dodgers of all people won the World Series, so that sucks.
Yeah, happy for Freddie Freeman.
Bulls are probably gonna make another play-in tournament and lose in the first or second game and not even make the playoffs, so that sucks.
Yeah.
And it's just like I can't win no matter where I turn. Like I just everything around me in sports is in shambles. So I really don't know what to do. I mean, I guess I like rooting. My second team in the NBA is the Kings, and they look pretty good. So
Like
I got
the
that
Beam
going for me.
Sacramento.
Like the Beam, baby.
It's my hometown.
I don't know what it is, but I last season watched a ton of the Kings. Really liked De'Aaron Fox. Really liked Sabonis. Now DeRozan went over there.
Yeah.
They're looking good. I really like their coach, Mike Brown's sick. And just watching the games, they're just a fun team to watch. So I really like the Kings.
I heard that D Rose came back home.
He did come back home.
Yeah, they didn't deserve him neither.
No, they didn't.
Stupid.
Yeah, man. So it's been tough. And then I know Ty kind of had the half-assed Bears joke, but yeah, man, like
Not a good time, bro.
me and Adam chatted about that in real time.
I did text Blake that right after that happened. I just
Unreal, man.
I missed it. What happened with them? Did they?
You're sick. That's a sick joke to make.
Yeah, it was just
Dude,
like
okay. Also, boys,
Are you being genuine? Do you genuinely not know what
no, I
happened?
genuinely don't know what happened.
I didn't know until the day after either, but in true Bears fashion, they lost in a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Oh, I did hear
final play of the game.
I did hear someone got a Hail Mary. I guess I didn't realize that it was against the Bears. Or was there two?
It was the Washington Commanders, baby.
Oh.
The Washington football
The
team.
Washington football team. I kind of wish they kept Washington football
Dude,
team.
I do too. And now they have the Utah Hockey Club. And
Yeah,
that's
so
sick too.
I saw that yesterday, and I was
Yeah.
like, "That's fucking dope." Because I love
I
the
like
Washington
that, man.
football team, and then I was telling my buddy when we were talking about that, I was like, "They should just have in each professional sporting league."
Why
a
is it
team
not the
just named
Browns?
after the sport?
Because like,
Yeah.
the Browns are their uniforms are already the most
They
like,
really
plain.
should be.
Like,
yeah,
it
they
should
really
just be the Cleveland football team.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
dope. That's so dope.
What did the
but
U-
yeah, man.
What did the
Bears,
Utah
brother,
hockey
it's-
team used to be? Were they the Blues? No, that's St. Louis.
That's St. Louis. I think Utah's just new. I think
Oh,
Utah-
are they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they
I'm
are.
mistaken.
Yeah, that's their expansion team this year. They just started
Oh,
up.
and they're just the Utah Hockey Club. That's
Yeah,
actually,
that's
that
Utah
actually does
Hockey
rule.
Club. Yeah,
No, I don't know
I
their
saw.
colors. Do you know their colors?
It's
Adam?
like blue and silver.
Oh, that's
Okay,
kind of lame.
I think.
I'd go some
Yeah, I was
wild
like, I
at
wish
that
somebody did
point.
something
Like-
cool.
Get like orange and
sure.
pink.
Well, it's like blue and white. It's kind of similar to the Kraken colors almost. If you look up their color scheme.
No,
Yeah, I got you.
Kraken are my team,
Like-
man. It's the other team I
Kraken are
support.
cool. Kraken's a dope. The branding there and the Golden Knights, like
No,
both
fuck,
of them killed it.
Fuck
with their
the Golden
branding and
Knights.
everything.
This is the Golden Knights are hated and loathsome. We despise the Golden Knights.
Well, I don't like Las Vegas being a sports city. Like, I don't think that should be a thing,
It's not.
personally.
It's not a sports city. Have you guys seen that recently? Where they're like, really, like no one from Vegas goes to the games. It's for people to
Right.
go to Vegas to
It's-
follow their favorite team and see and
Right.
go
Oh,
to
yeah.
Vegas to see them play.
It's a
basically.
tourist.
Yeah.
You're a tourist team.
Yeah.
You don't have fans. It sucks. Like, I wouldn't want to play on any of those teams personally.
Yeah.
You have to live in or near Vegas, which sounds awful. You don't have any
I
real
totally agree with
fans.
that.
Like if you're playing baseball there, I mean, they're gonna make an indoor stadium, but like
That's gonna be kind of cool.
I don't know. No, the stadium does look sick. all of that aside, the stadium does look cool, and I'm excited to go there and
That's
go to
the
that stadium.
Oakland A's going there, right?
Las Vegas Athletics, baby.
Oh, so that starts this year.
Yeah.
No,
they're gonna be Las
they
Vegas?
they still have to build the stadium. They're
Oh,
playing
yeah.
in some minor league Sacramento stadium for the next like 2 to 3 years.
Hey, things
Maybe
looking up
longer.
for
Wow.
Sacktown though.
Yeah.
So, we got the
Yeah, they
Kings
are,
and a
honestly.
baseball team.
Yeah.
And what's
Yeah,
so
well, that's
funny, and I don't think this is gonna happen, but obviously the Tampa Bay Rays, I don't know if you saw that their stadium, the Trop,
yeah, it's-
got destroyed in Hurricane Milton. Like the roof kind of like
Yeah.
got torn off because it's a domed stadium, and people are like, the city of Oakland has the chance to do the funniest thing of all time and host the Tampa Bay Rays in Oakland, and so they are now the Oakland Rays instead of the Oakland
And
A's.
A's. That would be pretty good.
That's funny.